So step one. So
Well, see,
step one has to be your children.
yeah,
It has to be the closest people to you. You can't control TV. You can't control the greater narrative, but you
that's
have
true.
to control your children. That's why I always say go to your children first. What do you tell your children? What I'm telling my children,
You know what? That's true.
what
That's
my
true.
first goal, if you ask me, my personal goal is I don't want for my kids to carry on the same baggage and trauma. I'm going to take the leap, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to take the leap to to not have them carry on all the trauma, to decide for themselves. You know what? I can compete with any group. I'm not worried about another group. I'm worried about myself. Right? I'm not ignorant of what happens. I'm not ignorant of the system, but I'm going to detangle what's going on in the system and what I need to do personally.
And that,
That's number one.
yeah,
A big
Mentally,
thing is kids they do what they see.
yes,
So we can tell them whatever, but they need to see. And I
yeah,
what
that's
one
true.
quick answer to the question, because we need an action item. I think Ian was getting at, like, what are some things we can do? I think
sure.
something that's relatively easy. Go to a meeting, whether it's a school board meeting, a city council meeting, and that way you're figuring out what is happening locally. And then
Mm.
to
There
Ya's
you go.
point, communicate. Communicate to people in your community. Hey, did you know I went to city council meeting? You know they're trying to do X, Y, and Z. That way we're spreading the word. We're getting people engaged. I think engagement is key.
All right.
Yes,
That's the one
absolutely.
step
The
towards.
reason why
I
I
love
I
Well
that.
felt
said.
that, and as I'll be really quick, um, when we were talking about, while you were talking about talking to your children and Yaya was talking about changing the narrative, that's where I thought it was going. Like, I want to change the narrative. Like you said, you don't want your children repeating. So I want them to understand this is where we came from, but you're not there. This is where
Right.
you
Yes.
need to go. And that starts in the home. And then in the home, we can tell them, you live in an area, but this is not a community. This is what a community should look like. This is how a real community should work. That's changing that narrative, starting in the home, then bringing it to your community, and then taking it as far as it can go. But we got to start
Right.
at the
All right,
home.
so
So that's,
about the action part and Owusu, starting with our family. So our community starts within the home. That's our small community. And then we try to expand to the block and get the block to operate, you know, as such, and then, let it grow from there.
Absolutely.
So I agree with
Right.
what you're saying with regards to community minded and getting control of community, organizing community, and getting community to understand what it means to be a community. And understanding it's not me, myself, and I, it's us, we, and our. And if we start operating in the plural sense, which we used to, as we are as a
Right.
people, then we will see that grow. But we have to, fine, let's start that there. And now the challenge to everybody listening,
Yeah.
as Brother Wusu mentioned, starting with our household, taking the role in managing and directing your community within your household in the way that you want it to be. Then encouraging you and I'm challenging the listeners and it's us to do the same thing with our block. Let's, yes, we go to these
Yeah.
meetings locally, as Savvy said, but let's go to the block. Let's get to know our neighbors as well as we know the council person. Okay, let's get to
Right.
know Miss So and
Right.
So and Mrs. So and So on the block, and let's try to organize something on the
Hmm.
block. What we want on the block. It could start as simple as stuff getting our with an organized community on the block, making sure our street's going to get paved first. Our street's going to get plowed first.
Right.
Because we're organized and our voices are loud enough, and they got numbers. They're like, "Yo, let's get over there because they voters over there. They're organized."
And to your point, locally, you're absolutely right. Most of the time, in most municipalities, I've talked to many people who've explained that there's certain parts of the ward or whatever you
100%.
want to call it in the city. They take care of it because they know, man, them people over
Let's
there on that side of town are not messing around. They gonna be on my ass. if
You
we
better
don't
get
make
that
sure that
pothole fixed.
garbage is
You
picked
better
up
get that
correctly.
pothole fixed.
You
So
dig what
Miss
I'm saying?
Jennings
Yeah,
is coming down here. You better
yeah,
plow that snow, or Mr. Wilson's going to be here. You better absolutely. So
oh yeah, yeah.
so then the
That could be
first
part
part
of it.
action item, right? Get our community starting from the household out to the block. Let's start with that, folks. So that's what we're talking about first and
Yep,
foremost. And number two, as Savvy mentioned, getting involved with the local politics, start going to meetings, local politics, et cetera, so on. So we're going to
absolutely.
hit y'all with these action items. We're not going to let nobody out here say we had a crucial conversation and we left y'all hanging
I
with
totally
questions that we
agree.
didn't give y'all answers to. We're giving y'all the answers to.
Totally agree.
So now, what's number
100%.
three? What's number
100%.
three? So we got 1 and 2. We got the one with the community, starting with the household to the block, hitting the meetings local. As Savvy said, who's all the way to hell in Chi-Town. I can't find no women in Jersey. Y'all all the fucking Chi-Town. Whatever.
Yo, we go
DJ, don't
next
laugh at
week.
me,
Next
bro.
week we
I'm
going
I'm I'm living single over here. These
we
single streets ain't for me, bro.
we gonna figure this out next week. I want to go back to relationship
Bro, they
conversations
not.
next week. So
Bro, I'm popping a balloon every day.
we gonna
It's
talk.
ridiculous out here.
We do need to start talking about relationships over 40 again, because that was a
We
very
gonna
interesting
we gonna go
I'm
back if
popping the
everybody free
balloon
next week.
everywhere I see.
We gonna
It's
figure
like
that out.
it's ridiculous out here. It is so. All right, yeah, that's another conversation. I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
What's number three?
now
What's number three?
save it
Let's
because
get to
you
number
know what
three.
you wasn't at the
Number
last one. So you
three,
got to come back. Number three.
number three
Number three.
is
Go ahead, twin.
start communicating, communicating and changing the narrative in urban pop culture. Okay, I know y'all I know y'all love that term. See, we now we've gone to meetings. We talked about changing things on the block, changing things at
I can
home,
agree with that.
things like that. Let's put what we've learned, what we know, positive information, community minded information. Let's start putting that
I,
out. Put
I
more of
can't
that
agree
out.
with that. I can't
Here's the
agree with
thing.
that.
Here's the thing.
I love
The
cats,
only
but
thing
less
about
cat
that
videos and
the,
more.
the only
Hey,
the
did
only
you
thing
know?
about that is I think that's part of it, but I would put that to the
Yeah,
side because I think that that's not immediate number three. But I
Okay.
agree. But I think immediate number three, in my opinion, would be to also um, financially. It's a very
Mhm.
difficult thing. It's
Yep.
very personal, but I think we have to learn from our mistakes. Make
Yeah,
sure our
that's
kids
true.
learn from our mistakes if we made some financially, because again, Vina, you said people do what they see, right? So we as adults can be okay with making mistakes. One of the issues that we have is not just black people, but people in general. Sometimes people don't want to admit mistakes. So what happens is that your kids repeat mistakes because you don't tell them because you're uncomfortable, and that's the to me that's number three. Financially,
financial literacy,
making sure that
financial literacy,
financial
and
literacy,
which
number
includes.
three.
And I'm sorry, because I want to make sure we have these things listed for our people. Financial
Yeah,
literacy,
please,
which
please.
includes consciously being having a mindset of cooperative economics, creating black
Yes,
businesses in our neighborhoods so they could become communities, and having the mindset to support those businesses first and foremost. And I'm going to speak to the business owners now out there. Your responsibility, business owner, black business owner in particular, is to make sure you give the highest quality of goods and or service to our customers at the lowest price possible. That is your and to be professional
yeah,
along the way. And my call to the
that's a show in
and
and
my
of
call to
itself.
the black consumer is to have as much grace, give as much grace to our black businesses as you do to the white owned businesses. Because what you don't hear anybody else in any other community say, you will never have, I have never heard in the history of history, a white person will go into a white owned business, be disappointed, and saying, I'm never going to support a white owned business again. That's never said.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
So what we have to do, because we
absolutely.
look for reasons, and part of the whole mindset, where I think we got to start with our mentality on overall, is because we unfortunately have been conditioned to look for reasons to not work with one another. We look for a reason. Like, yeah,
Right.
nope, I can't work with y'all. That's why I can't work with y'all. And then we
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
We looking for that,
yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to
Yep.
looking for reasons to
yeah.
work with one another. So, and
Right.
if any of what I just said resonate with anybody, like hit a light bulb, cool, and let's start being more conscious of that and watching ourselves. And when we hear, and the other thing, the challenging part, and it kind of goes with what Yaya was talking about, urban culture, because urban culture is not just what we hear and see on radio and television, but also what we hear and say around us within our neighborhoods.
That's
And what
right.
I think we have
Right.
to start doing is challenging the negativity that we hear and see on display and check it. We have
Okay.
to call it out. If
Absolutely.
we're in line at a black owned establishment and somebody says, you check that whole no. That's anti black thinking. We don't even know we have an unconscious anti black way of thinking because it's become habit forming. Because much like the black
Right.
doll, white doll experiment, why we say the white doll is good and the white doll is smarter, because we've been conditioned
Right.
to believe that.
Right.
So when we've learned
Right.
to
Right.
accept the negative stuff with anything black, that's the only thing we're going to see. So I want us to challenge that part. So items 1, 2, and 3. What we got? What we got, Awosu, and get into that part here.
Well, well, we have
Community starting within the
the
home and
first
then
thing we
expanding to the block.
the first thing we have is
Right.
within the home, right? And then we talked about number two, getting involved
The
in
local politics.
your local politics
Politics,
and understanding what's going on in the city or town village you
cities,
live in.
schools,
3, financial
Financial literacy,
literacy,
and as
economic
well as being
literacy.
Yep.
Now,
economic
one
responsibility.
to,
piece to add to the
and
one piece to add to the
to tie in
literacy
with
part though.
what
Uh,
B Rock said with regards to part of all of that encompassing in economics, as far as what we're teaching our kids so they can know they can make money with their hands, HVACs and plumbers and
right,
electricians and
Mhm.
all that part of
right.
that whole things and that whole system that we're creating. I'm sorry, go ahead, Owusu. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. No, this is what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's just dropping gems, and that's what this show is about. At the end of the day, like, um, I'm not here to just. I don't got all the answers, so I want everybody to. You got jewels, drop them. Only thing I wanted to add on to what you all just said, everybody said about financial literacy or economics in general. I want to drop this one last piece. Family also, the goal is we should also try to work with our family business wise, right? So that's another big part where wealth is either made. So a lot of times in family, wealth is either depleted, right?
Mhm. Or it's built up
It's either
based on the
depleted or
family.
totally decimated. The 2 Ds. It's either depleted or decimated. Most business, not most, but most businesses are small in America. Small businesses make up America. A lot of businesses in other groups, it's not that black people don't have it too. You know what I'm saying? We have businesses that have family involved. But what I'm saying is that is also an integral part of the fabric of business. The same way everybody, DJ talked about, the Spanish brothers and sisters living together, doing their thing. It's the same thing. Family. The individualism is also a big part of why a lot of families don't have their money concentrated to create more wealth because we're
Mhm.
all focused on being individual and getting away. Am I saying everybody needs to live in the same house? No. What I'm saying is that if you have siblings, cousins, brothers, sisters, if you have an idea, see if you can do something together. There's a lot of power in doing something together.
Yeah.